Hey everyone, this is Hone. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about boot camps. I went to a boot camp a few months ago. It was this one offered by UC Berkeley Extension. It was the Data Analytics and Visualization boot camp. I went to the 24-week program. At the time when I went, they also offered a 12-week program, but it looks like they're not offering that right now. They are for the coding one, which I have a friend who's going to the coding one right now. If you want, I'll ask him if he wants to be on my channel. Maybe he'll give you guys a little rundown on how that one went. But as far as the data one and would I recommend it? Probably not. Unless you have time on your hands and you want to learn some stuff, you don't have the ability to sit down and just make yourself learn it, then sure. But other than that, everything that they teach you, you can learn it for free on the internet. You can get, they even give you the curriculum here. We can go over. Well, first of all, before we go over the curriculum, I just want to say that this is not actually a UC Berkeley program. This is offered in collaboration with Trilogy Education Services. So Trilogy Education Services, you can look them up, but they're basically, for profit. They do collaborations with a lot of different schools and make you think that you're kind of like going and getting a program that's, UC Berkeley approved or whatever, but it's really just some other education service that is in it for the money. Okay, so here we have the curriculum overview. You can learn Excel for 2 weeks. All right, so take 2 weeks of your time, learn a little bit about Excel. So VBA scripting, though, is basically you just learn how to do some if else stuff, maybe some for loops, things like that. Statistic modeling, they didn't really teach you much about that. Okay, next thing, Python and data analytics. Now, before I took this class, I already knew a little bit about Python. I'd been learning Python for maybe a year or something like that, but like slowly. When they got to the Python part, I had handle of that. It's all basic stuff though. Like they go over really quickly, just like the what everything goes over. It's strings, variables, integers, functions, classes. Actually, the classes, they didn't really go into classes too much, so kind of like the basic stuff. And then APIs, that was basically just using Flask for a backend to serve up your API. So you can learn Flask. It's got good documentation. Everything's available online. It's super easy to learn. There's actually a lot of really good YouTube videos about learning Flask. So yeah, actually they also teach you how to use other APIs. So before we learned how to use Flask, we actually learned how to use someone else's API. Like Open Weather is an API where you can get weather data. So you learn how to read that in to like pandas and things like that. JSON is simply, the JSON formatting. You can learn about JSON in like a day. It's really not that hard. So NumPy and Pandas, they didn't really go too much into NumPy. Pandas, you learn the basics. You learn how to, read in a CSV file or something, or read in some JSON and create a data frame from that. Manipulate the data frame, maybe remove elements or insert elements or do something to the data frame based on some parameters, and then possibly return it as JSON or a CSV or some other type of file. Or you could return it as an API response. So that was Pandas. Then, all the documentation is good for that as well. You can learn that on your own. If you like, you can leave a comment below, let me know, and I'll maybe make some videos about the basics of Pandas. It's really easy. It also goes well with Matplotlib. You can take your pandas data frame, put it in Matplotlib. It'll make you some charts and graphs. Matplotlib has a lot of good documentation. It's open source, so really easy to learn. Beautiful Soup is just for web scraping. So let's say I wanted to go to this website and just collect the information on this web page. You could use Beautiful Soup. It can scrape like this paragraph, for instance, if I wanted it to, or it can scrape all of the headers right here. I could get each one of these things. There's a bunch of different things you can do with Beautiful Soup. Basically, though, if you want to take information that's on the internet and not available through an API or some other source, then you can just scrape it yourself with Beautiful Soup. One thing, though, is they kind of so they go over scraping social media and things like that, but they never really go over how it's a little bit iffy, like you can get banned from a lot of websites for like from like pinging them too fast and stuff like that. And they don't really go over that. They're just like, here's the tools to scrape the web, and then they just send you out there. Make sure that you learn the ins and outs of that on your own because you just get the basics. I mean, you only get a couple weeks of it, so obviously at 3 days a week for what is it, weeks 3 through 8, you're not going to learn that much information. I mean, if you spend 30 minutes a day learning on your own, you'd probably be better off. Oh, they also teach you Selenium. So Selenium is another thing that goes well with Beautiful Soup because it allows you to click through websites as if you're a human. So it can like open up this page and then click this button and then scrape something from that page. So it's pretty useful, but you can learn it on your own again. There's actually a really cool YouTube video. Um, I think it's one of the contributors, and he shows you how to use it with Instagram. It's pretty sweet, really quick. So let's get into databases. So for databases, they teach you SQL, NoSQL, MySQL, MongoDB, and ETL process, which is basically just a combination of your web scraping that you learned earlier with your pandas, data frame manipulation, extracting with Beautiful Soup, right? And then transforming with pandas, and then loading into one of these databases. I personally really like MongoDB, super easy to use. It's really great. If you want any videos on any of this stuff, let me know. Next they go into is web visualization. So this is probably JavaScript and HTML. Yep. So HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Ajax, D3, Leaflet. HTML, CSS, JavaScript. You can learn all of that at freecodecamp.org. Highly recommend freecodecamp.org. Just go there, go through all of the tutorials or whatever. If you feel like you still can't do anything after going through Free Code Camp, I don't know what to tell you. It's pretty solid, pretty good resource. So Ajax, also probably Free Code Camp. D3, read the docs. Leaflet, read the docs. Reading is crucial. Reading will save you $12,000. I'm telling you now that you can save yourself $12,000 by reading documentation. Okay, most documentation, if it's good, will have a tutorial on how to use it. Advanced topics, Tableau, just super easy to use software, especially after learning how to code up your own charts and graphs in JavaScript using D3 and Leaflet. Oh, they also teach you Plotly. I don't know why Plotly's not on here, but there's another library, very useful. It's called Plotly. Yeah, so Tableau, it's just like a drag and drop. It's pretty easy to use. There's a lot of resources for that online too. I don't really like the resources that I found online, but at the same time, I don't really find Tableau that useful either. I'm gonna skip over Hadoop because in our class we did skip over Hadoop. We didn't really learn it because we went straight to the machine learning, and once we learned a little bit of machine learning, you go on to your final project, and you're on a small team, and we have like 2 weeks to do a machine learning project. Now, could be good, could be bad. You get a good team, you could end up with something that will look really good on your portfolio, something that you probably wouldn't have came up with on your own. It would have been hard to implement on your own, and you have a nice little team, and in 2 weeks you have something solid. If you end up with a bad team, then you end up with something that you probably don't want on your portfolio, maybe a half-finished project, something that just doesn't look right. The collaboration just wasn't there. My project personally, the machine learning part didn't really come together with the user interaction part. So we wanted the user to be able to input a movie and then get an output of whether or not what percentage chance it had to win the Oscars. We never got that finished, but there was another project that did a really good job. They went and got wind readings at a bunch of disc golf courses, and then got scores from the league and all the players in the league, and then combined that with the wind data so that next time that a player went out, they could use the app. A player from that league, because that's where they have the data from, could use that app to predict how many throws it would take for them on that particular day to finish the game. And it actually was pretty good. I think they got it. One of the guys, it was like dead on. Then another dude was like off by 2 throws or something like that. It was pretty good when they went out and used it to test it out. Yeah, and then that's the end of the program. You're pretty much done at that point. So the hardest part to do on your own would be the final project, right? And that's just because you get a group and you get to try and put something together, but there's no guarantee that you come out with something that you want to use in your portfolio. You might have spent $12,000 and really have almost nothing for your portfolio. Now there's other projects that are done during the rest of the course, right? But the thing about those projects is, they all look the same. Like I'm saying, if they have 30 people in a class and, 120 people are coming out at a time, or 60 people at a time, with the same projects, unless you really take the time to switch it up so that it doesn't look the same as everyone else's, you're going to have a pretty standard looking portfolio with nothing that stands out, looks the same as what everyone else is sending out, and it's not the best look. I definitely would not recommend going to one of these boot camps. Like I said, I have a friend who's going to the coding one right now. Maybe he can give me some insight on what he thinks about that one. But as far as the data analytics one goes, that one's going to be thumbs down from me. All right, guys. Well, I hope you found this information useful. If you did, please subscribe. Maybe hit the like button. Maybe I just saved you $12,000. I hope. Man, I regret going. No, but for real, if you guys subscribe and like and leave some comments, maybe I'll just start making videos about all the things that I learned here, and we can save you $12,000. Okay? All right, everyone. I want you to all have a great day, and I'll see you later.